Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back for another math lesson. Today we're going to continue exploring shapes and learn a little bit more about the plane shapes we learned about yesterday. Let's get started. Our words to know just for today is shape.
Shapes. You can ask questions to help you sort shapes. Look at the sides of the shapes. How are these shapes alike? Think about it.
So right now I want you to start thinking about how something about these shapes could be alike. I know that all of the shapes you're looking at right now are different shapes, but there are things that make them alike.
Do these shapes have straight sides?
Answer that question out loud.
Yes, they all have straight sides. This is one way they are all alike.
So even though we are looking at different shapes, they're alike because they all have sides that are straight.
Do these shapes have corners?
Answer that question out loud. Do they have corners? Do all of them have corners?
Yes, they all have corners. This is another way these shapes are all alike.
So now that is two different ways that these shapes are alike.
How are these shapes alike? Think about it.
Now think about what we just did last time, and now look at these different groups of shapes and think about how these shapes could possibly be alike.
Do these shapes have straight sides?
Answer that question out loud. Do they have straight sides? Look at each shape. Are they straight sides?
No, these shapes all have curves.
So this is how these shapes are alike. They don't have straight sides, but they all have curves.
Curves are not straight. Sides are always straight. A corner of a shape is where two straight sides meet.
So that's where that point comes in. It's where the sides are coming together to touch. We call it a corner.
Do these shapes have corners?
Shout that answer out.
Yes, these shapes all have corners. Do these shapes have corners?
Shout that answer out.
No, these shapes do not have corners. Tell how you know. Corners are where straight sides meet. These shapes do not have straight sides.
So we know that these three shapes do not have corners because they don't have any sides, because all of their sides are curved. They're not straight, so there are no corners. They're all curved.
You have just learned how plane shapes can be different. Plane shapes can have straight sides. They can have curves. Plane shapes can also have corners, or they can have no corners. Now you see how questions help you sort plane shapes.
All right, so we're going to continue to explore how we can sort our plane shapes. Let's go into our practice problems and review our vocabulary. The first word that we saw in the video today was the word sort. Now, to sort things is to group them according to how they are similar or how things are different, right? We can separate things that are not alike by putting them into two different groups. What you're seeing here down below in this picture, I grouped all of the blue things together and grouped all of the red things together. Another vocabulary word we learned was the word side. And a side are the lines that make up a flat shape. So it's what you see here in purple is pointing to the sides of the different shapes. Another vocabulary word we learned today was the word corner. And that is the part of the shape where two straight lines meet to come together to form that point or corner. Now, if you're looking where the arrows are, they're pointing to the corners on each of these shapes. Let's complete some practice problems together. It says to write the number to complete the table. So number 1 is done for us. It is a picture of a square. And we need to count how many straight sides and how many corners each shape has. So when we're counting the sides, I'm looking for those straight lines. When I'm counting the corners, I'm looking to count where those points are. So number 1 is done for us, and it shows us that there are 4 straight sides and 4 corners in a square. Let's try number 2. Number 2 is a triangle. Now, let's count the sides with me. I'm going to trace over the object, and you can trace over with your finger so that we can do it together. Let's count how many straight sides we see in a triangle. I see 1, 2, 3 straight sides. Now let's count our corners. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. 3 corners. Question number 3, looking at this shape, call it out. It is a circle. Now think about a circle, because what's different about a circle is that the sides are curved. They're not straight. So let's keep that in mind. The question asks, how many straight sides does a circle have? Well, think about it. Does a circle have any straight sides? Shout out your answer. I hope that you said no. So if there are no straight sides, that must mean we need to write 0. Now the same goes along for corners. I don't see any straight sides coming to that little point to form a corner on a circle, so it must also be 0. Let's go to question number 4. In question 4, we have what shape, boys and girls? Shout out what shape it is. I hope that you said it is a rectangle. Now I want you to count with me to count our straight sides first. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight sides. Now let's count those points, or what we will now call corners. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couple more. It says to draw a shape with 3 corners. So think about the shapes that we've learned about both yesterday and today. And I want you to think, which shape is the shape that has 3 corners? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. And when you're ready, shout out your answer. I hope that you said the shape with 3 corners is a triangle. 3 sides, 3 corners. Next one, it says to draw a shape with more than 3 straight sides. So I want a number that is bigger than 3. So again, think about your shapes, go through them in your mind, even close your eyes if you need to think about the different shapes we've learned about. Now, we just said that a triangle has 3 straight sides, so it can't be a triangle for this one because I'm looking for which one has more than 3 straight sides. Well, there's actually a couple of different answers that you could have said. So shout out one shape that has more than 3 straight sides. And I hope that one of the shapes that you said was one of these 4. A trapezoid has 4 straight sides. A square also has 4 straight sides. A hexagon has 6 straight sides. And a rectangle has 4 straight sides. All of those numbers are greater than 3. So any of those answers or shapes could have worked. Another question, it says to draw a shape with 6 sides and 6 corners. Again, close your eyes and think about the shapes that we have learned. You can even look above here to help you think about the shapes as well. Which shape has 6 sides and 6 corners that we learned about? Shout out your answer. I hope that you said hexagon. All right. It says to solve the problem below, it says to circle 3 shapes that have the same number of corners and sides. So they need to have the same number of corners as they do sides. All right. So only 3 of the shapes will have all of the same numbers. The same number of corners and sides. So let's think about the shapes that we have here. We have a hexagon here in yellow. I have a triangle up here in pink. I have a circle here in orange. I have a rectangle in blue. I have another somewhat slanted rectangle here in purple, and I have a square in green. So looking at these shapes right now, we need to find the three shapes that all have the same number of corners and sides. Well, a hexagon has 6 sides and 6 corners. Do you see any other shape that has 6 sides and 6 corners? I hope that you said no, so the hexagon could not be a possible answer. Let's jump up to the triangle. We know that a triangle has 3 sides and 3 corners, but do we see any other shapes here that have 3 sides and 3 corners? No, I do not. A circle does not have any sides or any corners. Do I see any other shapes like that here? No, I do not, which leaves us with our last 3 shapes here. Let's see if they all have the same number of corners and sides. Let's look at the blue rectangle. The blue rectangle has 4 sides and 4 corners. Let's keep that in mind. This purple slanted rectangle also has 4 corners and 4 sides. And last is my square, and a square has 4 corners and 4 sides. So do those 3 shapes all have the same number of corners and sides? Yes, they do, and that is my answer for this question. All right, question number 10. It says, I have 4 corners and my sides are not, keyword there, are not the same length. Which shape am I? All right, so we have 4 choices, a trapezoid, a triangle, a square, and a hexagon. The first clue that it gives us is that the shape has 4 corners. I see some shapes with 4 corners, but I see other shapes that do not have 4 corners. If they don't have 4 corners, I know that that is not my answer, so I'm going to cross those out. I know a triangle has 3 corners, so that can't be my answer. I'm going to cross it out. I also know that a hexagon has 6 corners, so I can also cross that choice out, which leaves me with 2 choices, trapezoid and square. Well, they both have 4 corners, so let's look at my second clue. It says my sides are not the same length. Well, I know in a square is a special rectangle where all the sides are the same length. So I'm not looking for that one, which leaves us with our answer. What shape am I? I hope that you said trapezoid. And that is the end of our little video for today. I hope that you found our practice problems helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye, boys and girls.